person who I heard once who really just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I won't say their name because there are people who know this person out there, and
Dun, dun, dun.
he
Do I know this person?
I'll talk about it off the podcast. He talks about, like, he was mentioning how he thought Elia Kazan was like the greatest director ever. And one of the things about him was like he, like, as a director, and he thinks like Elia Kazan know this, or how you pronounce his name, I forget. Kazan, he knew this, and this is why he was one of the best. Was, I don't know if that's the only reason, but it was like one of the big reasons he said was the director manipulates the actors like to a deeper level. And I think I partly agree to this, but like not to an unethical degree.
Right.
Like
again,
Shelley
boundaries. Duvall. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But he went with he went with who was it? The young actor guy who everybody hears about his name, and they think he's. Then they're like, he's kind of childish, or boyish. What's his name?
Timothy. Everything is two different actors.
No. This is like not Steve McQueen, but this other guy.
Oh, are we talking about old actors?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I forget what his name was. Oh, shit, he was. I can't remember what his name was. But he went with this actor who's a big star at the time, doing great big movies. He was, and A Rebel Without a Cause, the actor from that.
James Dean?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He went with it.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, I don't know.
He went with James Dean to his family's house, and witnessed how this built up guy or like this confidence boosted guy who. He's got everybody loves him in the world. It's like,
yeah.
And then he started talking to his parents and telling them about how like he was, doing all these things. And then immediately he either before or as he said that or after from the reaction, he turned into this helpless little child who was just like defeated, like a bullied child or whatever.
A rebel without a cause.
I don't think it was that film, but it was. I don't think that's. I'm not sure if it was that his film.
It was his film. I was making a joke.
He realized at that moment, this is the character. This is how I get this out of the character. I have to manipulate him, and he would like the director did manipulate him, and it was because he understood who he was. It's like. Or you could just find somebody who can play that. Well, then again, that's the truth. That was who he was, and you had to dig it out of him. But then the guy I'm talking about, he was like that's what a director needs to do. They need to find that chink in your armor and pull it out of you. And it's just like, it just came off really weird. It's just like, I wouldn't want you knowing anything about me on that deep level like that.
Right.
I'd want somebody
boundaries
who's like respectful of that.
Right.
Not just trying to take advantage of it, which I think you are.
Right.
Like
right.
Fuck off. Like it's it's so.
Know your place, man. I mean, but there's different techniques that directors can do to bring these things out of you.
Yeah.
But like when it's that level, I think you're just taking your art way too seriously.
I think you're just like...
It's just... Yeah, we're dealing with people with real human conditions. Again, tuning into actual real emotion. So real, sadness and real anger. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why the whole lying thing, it's like, no, like, you're actually, feeling these things, and you're not manipulating someone into thinking that you're feeling this way. You are actually feeling this way. So when you do that, you're breaking a boundary, and that's just not... For the sake of what?
For art?
Yeah, but
I mean, geez. Art. Yeah, I mean, we all
nothing is that serious
in
life.
And I was talking about this with Norman, I think, where I was talking about the reason why art today isn't as great is like people are less willing to sacrifice. Like I was the same.
Take
way.
Risks.
Yeah, or yeah, either.
Both. I agree.
Like, what I mean by that is like before I started working on that 400-page manuscript, which was, I think, the turning point for me, I was like I was half in it. I was doing it. I was writing things that I thought like, well, I used to like in high school be like really competitive about making films and all that, and just I had this energy like I want to make this film.
Yeah.
And I think it was because I had that system built around me that I really thrived on. Like you have a deadline.
Yeah.
Creating deadlines was perfect for me.
Yeah.
But it's like that once that was gone, I started, it became harder and harder for me to motivate myself to work on things. And I just, anytime something got really excruciatingly hard, and the things I'm working on now have had those points where it's so excruciatingly hard. When I got feedback recently about Boys Be Boys, I thought about quitting like a little bit.
Oh no, I would have stopped you.
Like yeah, no,
I made you not.
but then I was like, what are you fucking nuts? You're doing this.
Right.
It was partly because I just felt like I pushed this thing too far and I was going the wrong direction. And then it was like, even if I don't even know if I could get back or if it would be a whole waste of time again. And also just all this effort for something that's gonna, be controversial and then possibly get me canceled.
Right. And kicked out and destroy your career forever.
Liberal filmmakers will not like the film, most likely. Well, actually, the way new direction it's going, we're doing the things that we talked about, but I feel like it's much more grounded in facts and stuff and things, and I think you're gonna like it. I think.
I don't think they're gonna like it.
No, you're not. They're not. You are. We're gonna like it. But so yeah. I think I didn't have the the power to get me through these kind of obstacles. And I would always quit and work on something new, and then quit and work on something new, and quit and work on something new until I just realized it's like I need a better way of doing this. There are roadblocks that I just don't have the motivation to get through. And eventually I realized it's like you need to kind of like you need to have small victories, like or you need to have you need to go 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000. You can't go to 1,000 immediately.
Exactly.
And by that I mean 1,000 is a fully fleshed out, beautiful masterpiece of a screenplay, and you're gonna go produce it and make a film out of it, and it takes it to 1,000,000.
Yeah. A grand slam.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
You can't go to that immediately. You have to start with one, and that is having a good idea. Pitch it to people.
Yes.
When you find that there's an idea that you believe in fully, and that other people, when you tell it to them immediately, even in the least amount of words,
right,
they get it and they're like, do it.
Yeah. Do it now.
I sound like Palpatine. They're like, do it, and it's like, yes, I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Not only do you have the motivation of you behind it, you have the motivation of others. And when your motivation fails, their motivation is going to help you through.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
Support system.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You need that.
Right.
And you also want that because that proves that it is commercially viable. It is commercially viable, successful project. Because if people can tell their friends about it, if other people like it, then they can tell their friends about it.
Yeah.
And if it's easy to explain to them, then they're like, oh yeah, like let's do it. Like I want to go see that film.
Right.
That's what you need. You need word of mouth to work for you. And so you have to make sure that other people like what you're working on.
Right.
And once you get that successful, you go start working on it, create an outline or something, go to 10. So you're going from 1, the idea, 10, you have an outline or something bigger. But it's not like super daunting.
Right.
Pitch that to somebody. And then make sure you got it working. I did that with my World War II film. Sorry, I'm spitting.
Corona. You're fine.
I pitched that to you, and I kind of saw where it was working, and so then I went with that, and I started writing it, and I'm still writing it. And then I'll have people read the script, and then I'll rework it based on that. But it's like you're not gonna have a masterpiece the first time, and you have to be willing to be bad to be good. You have to be bad first, and then you grow. When you write. Right. When you're writing, you can be bad, and then because you're gonna rewrite it, you have to get better. And now
I agree.
I think where was I going with this?
I think we get.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So basically, I had to learn to get feedback from others. because that was the thing that was becoming an issue. Like
Yeah, but you're really good at it.
You
so
get the motivation. I mean, I was bad at it before.
Really interesting.
And you were, even I am terrible at it if I've been working on something for a long time. If you've been working on something for a long time and you don't get feedback, especially early on, you don't get those 1,000 deaths.
Yeah.
You get that one big death at the end of it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no changing it. It sucks what you made, because you didn't do it with feedback and with other people in mind. You did it with just you in mind and whatever you were, and it was probably not very successful. And you do it because part of the motivation is, I can't wait to tell people about this. Right. And if you tell people about it and they hate it, and it's like there's no salvaging it, what are you doing it for? Right. You know? So like, yeah, you get to that point, you get those 1,000 deaths and you know, as you go. And so once it's done, you actually feel accomplished, and you have people saying, this is great, because you made sure it didn't stray off the course of the road the entire time. And yeah, so you do that, and that's what I was missing. And then once I did that, then I was like, or not only just that, but it was like once I did a 400-page manuscript, when I was able to plow my way through to the end, then I got feedback. Like when I started getting feedback, you know, I realized, you know, that's what I need. That's what I need to move forward, is to get feedback, because I need to make sure that I not only power through to the end, right, but I also make sure that as I'm powering through, like I'm not creating unsolvable problems that make what I'm making completely pointless. Right. That's what people lack. Nowadays, I hear it's like sacrifice. It's like you
I agree. I think we live in such a, you know, instant gratification world that like, especially for us artists, I mean, it's hard enough as in the film industry and music industry, that it's like we're like working so hard and get little to no feedback from like other people other than like our, you know, our group, you know, when like, hey, do you like this? But it's like, you know, so that we want that like now. I want it now. Like it needs to happen now. I have to be famous, right? I have to make that film that's going to make me famous. The first film I do, it has to be the Rocky. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. That's why I was trying to go to 1,000 immediately, or 1,000,000.
You want that like Rocky, where it's like you wrote it overnight and it was this sensation.
Bullshit to me. And I actually heard, no, it's not. It wasn't overnight, guys. If you hear the Rocky story and Sylvester Stallone wrote
shatter
Rocky,
people's dreams.
No, fuck your dreams. Rocky was not written in over 48 or 24 hours or whatever it's called. The first draft was, but the first draft was garbage. It was dog shit. There's an interview out there with Stallone saying that it was terrible. I forget what. I think it was maybe a what's the interview guy? I forget what his name is. Big hair. What's his name?
Excuse me.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
Big hair.
Big hair.
No, yeah. So it might have been that, or it was like a morning talk show or whatever. It was the first draft. Now you can write a shitty first draft in 24 hours. It's easy. Right. Just you have to, or no, it's not easy. It's hard.
But still, his first draft got like.
That's actually what.
But his first draft got.
It had the core elements.
It was a grand slam.
It was
right.
It had the core elements. And
whether it was like he wrote that specific.
No, you don't have to write a first draft.
I don't, but we all want to.
No, you can. You can do that.
We're impatient.
Here's the thing: you can write a shitty first draft in 24 hours if you have an idea, but you need that idea first. He had that idea. Start with the idea. Pitch it to somebody. Tell them, and then if it's working, then go and write it. Go and write this shitty first draft, and it's going to be shitty. It should be shitty, because it's like when you do that, then you free yourself to be prolific. Oh yeah, that's what he did. Then from there, I think it was 8 months or something, where they were just revising it, or years maybe. I don't know. Yeah, they just kept revising it. And I feel
like I'm going to struggle with this with my screenplay, because I'm like,
you should just get feedback early on. And
I know I want you to read it and see what you think so far.
I think you should also like work on what is the idea. Not, you don't have to talk about it right now on the podcast, because I don't.
Right. Right.
You have to pitch the idea of it first, and then figure out what that is based on the way people react, and then you work from there. Because like that's. This is just something I've learned like the hard way. Right. But yeah, so Rocky was not written in 24 hours or 48 hours. It was the first shitty draft was written after he had an idea, and then he took that first draft and then had people read it, got feedback, worked on it over a course of months. So yes, you can have a first draft, and it can have the core elements that make it work, but you
and make it
need
the grand slam.
yeah,
But also we need to
polish it. You have to work on it.
We need to just live our own, like, there's no formula. But that's the thing about this industry. Everyone's like, you have to do it this way and this way. And it's like, you know what? Just make your art. If someone likes it, they're going to pick it up. That's just what it is.
I think there is some truth to formula, not formula itself, but it's like there are guidelines. There are guidelines that you might want to follow, because if you follow them, they do something, and you can. And if you feel that effect when you hear about these guidelines, you're like, yeah, I could see that working, so I want to try it. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
This was a cork board, not for this. There was this blue cork board. You can't see this on the camera, but that's where this is attached to. It's a cork board I put up for that, for storyboarding. I put all these index cards with I took index card, like I made index cards out of plot points from all these different systems and formulas of screenwriting.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, fuck the page number, fuck what percentage of the script, percentage way through the script this needs to happen on, or what act or whatever.
Right.
Or I did put little index cards with acts numbers on it, but I took all the points, the raw like points of screenwriting from all these different people and formulas, and I put them on there. Even things from mythology. And I just put them all together, and I was like, all right, what are the commonalities? Well, and I figured out proportionally where each thing happens, where it seemed like each thing kind of lined up, and it does all line up.
Yeah.
And like I kept everything in order. Each thing was in its order that it came in.
Right.
But they were, proportionally aligned to match up, where this scene has this thing happening in this system, this thing happening in this system, and this thing happening. Like the meeting with the mother in mythology or whatever, the mother figure, it's this, I forget what that means or whatever, but it's like, or I don't know, it's the feeling of safety. You've come to safety. That also lines up perfectly with the midpoint, which in some things is the victory, the false victory, where you've achieved what you're after.
Right.
Why does that seems to line up some way? Sorry, I'm spinning. The meeting with the mother, the goddess, it's this false victory. It's like you feel comforted by it, but it's not, it's not, it's not what you're after. You're not you set out on this journey, but it's not the end goal that you're reaching for the journey. It's something else. Those line up. There's just a ton of things like that, and also it teaches you things about that other screenplay formulas don't teach you. It's like there's in Act 3, it's like, all right, you've gotten the boon that you're after, and that's also where things kind of, the Dark Night of the Soul, we've had the confrontation with the father figure. Those things line up, but now it's like, all right, now we have the return journey, which is just as hard as getting here. And it's like this is a terrible analogy, but the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, did you see that?
No.
Where they have they were given a bag of wind to return home after getting Hasselhoff or something, or no, after getting like the crown back or something to like save Mr. Krabs. And then I love the scene where they open up they're reading the instructions on how to use the bag of wind, and then Patrick is acting it out as SpongeBob was going through it, and then he mistakenly opens it and then lets it go, and it's like, make sure you're on board before you open it or something like. And it's like that was their way home. He's like, oh shit.
Right.
And it's like, that was perfect, because it's like, how are they going to get home? And then David Hasselhoff comes and they ride on his foot or something.
Nice.
But
nice.
I just love that when you combine and you compare these systems.
Yeah.
You can you have a lot of things to pick and choose from, and
it's a lot of liberty,
and you get to do something that works for you. And it also, the biggest problem with the idea of this blank page, is nothing's you need rules. In order to be a person, you need a set of rules to live by. That's something I would love to go into, but it's like you have to you have to come up with rules for yourself. So I would use rules of like, let's choose something from these one of these formulas or something, just to.
Right. I think that I think guidelines are, not that there's no guidelines in like story writing. Obviously there is, like, there is always like the climax, the whatever you learn in English, you know what I mean? But what I mean by like formula, in the sense where it's like, they tell, and this is an actor standpoint, they tell actors, you need these $500 headshots, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's like, what you need to do is just network, keep doing your art, and like, go to different auditions. Like, everyone keeps telling you, you have to do commercials. And it's like, you don't have to do commercials. Like, it's not a full safe formula, because you hear about all of these famous actors who didn't do any of those things and just was walking down the street. So that's what I meant by like guidelines. There's no guidelines. There's no like formula, in the sense where it's like, if you do this, you will always be successful, because it's not true. There's many actors who pour money into getting updated headshots every 6 months and are still not getting anything other than commercials. And they're not doing any art that they want to be doing. It's just all about like knowing people, being in the right places, like sheer luck. It really is just sheer luck, I think. But we want those guidelines, I think. And I think what you were saying, like, I write very differently than you. I've used a lot of what you have suggested, like the whole note card thing has really been great. But I have not written an outline. I can't articulate what it is that No,
I don't write outlines. Oh, I mean, I would write like a summary, for sometimes.
A summary.
Or
I can't, for some reason,
But my first draft, I want to write it start to finish, and then before I even start rewriting anything.
Right, and that's what So I'm so bad at articulating things that I just let the characters speak at what I'm trying to get at. And when I get caught up in like, and it's supposed to mean this and this, and I'm like, no, just let the story tell you what it is. And I think that that's how my style is, but obviously that's a very different style than you approach it, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. So in that sense, the formula where it's like, what works for you, and having like writing the note cards and putting them in the little box, like that helped me tremendously, because I didn't feel like, oh, well, I'll get there. Yeah.
It takes the pressure off. You're like, oh, I can just think about whatever I want instinctively, put it in the box.
Did it
and
work?
And then I have it.
Right.
It's there. It's
Can
safe.
I work it in? Can I not work it in? That kind of thing. And
it's safe unless the house burns down. But
right, exactly. Unless it's in a fireproof box.
Unless you take pictures of each one, which I do.
Yeah.
Just in case, and I put it in a folder on my phone.
But you gotta like, some people, they do everything on their phone. I don't do anything on my phone. I do it all like written. I write on the computer, obviously, because it's just faster. But like my ideas, I don't keep it in my phone. I have written things, So I think it's just depending on, like, find what works for you, and just do it that way. Stop getting bogged down on like, this is the way you're supposed to be doing it. Just do it, and like do it fully, and people will appreciate that.
It's like this. It's like you could be successful or fail if you use the guidelines or not.
Right.
And it might be because you use the guidelines, or it might be because you failed to use them
correctly. Nothing is fall safe. Yeah.
It's like, but you have to assess that and figure that out, and you trust your gut. And if your gut tells you to do it based on the guidelines or not, it's up to you.
Right. Exactly.
Now, I do kind of like to use the guidelines and try to figure out, how can I use these in a clever way, in a way that works specifically for this. And I put a lot of thought into it. But I like the guidelines for like screenwriting. Like this happens here, generally in this area, before this thing.
Can I interrupt you really quick? I have to use the bathroom so bad.
No worries.
We can go right back into this.
Yeah.